Joining me now from Kent is Nigel Nelson. He is the political editor of the Sunday Mirror. Nigel, good to have you on the show. As a veteran journalist, I'm wondering how it was covering the late Queen during her reign.
Well, I mean, she was magnificent, and as that anecdote just shows, that she did have this wonderful impish sense of humour. Former prime ministers have been describing meeting the Queen for their weekly audiences, and they're talking about how it wasn't so much an audience, but more a conversation where they'd swap gossip and have a good laugh. And it is very much that kind of sense of humor that she had, which, when you think about it, if you're doing that kind of role and you've done it for 70 years, the only way you can get through it is if you've got a good sense of humor.
Okay, aside the mourning, the nation is also dealing with a period of transition. I mean, given the relationship that Prince Charles, now King Charles III, has had over the decades with both the press and public, how do you think it'll compare?
Well, I mean, he takes over obviously an awful lot older than the Queen was. I mean, the Queen was the last world leader who actually wore a uniform in the Second World War, and so we genuinely have come to the end of an era. And so under King Charles III, a new one begins. And you're absolutely right that the relationship between Prince Charles and certainly journalists has been fairly fractious, not least because of what happened over Princess Diana. But I mean, again, he was born to the role. He's been doing this all his life, and so he does know how to handle it and handle us.
Um, for most of us that are living outside of the United Kingdom, there's been a protocol in place since, I believe, dating back to the 1960s, the London Bridge Protocol. Explain that for us and how things are likely to pan out over the next 10 to 14 days.
Yeah, Operation London Bridge it was the plan put in place, which has been constantly updated since the 1960s. But that is there for this event. It was there for the Queen's death. So, for instance, before it is actually the Queen's death is actually publicly announced, various people have to be privately informed, so the prime minister, the leader of the opposition, people like that. And the code word for that was always London Bridge is down. So that's how they first got to know of the Queen dying. What the Operation London Bridge now does is put in place the whole system of mourning and the state funeral the Queen will have. So her body now has to be brought down from Scotland. It will lie in state in Westminster Hall in Parliament for 3 days, and then there will be the state funeral 10 days after that. So you start with what they call D-Day. D-Day is the day the Queen dies, and then there is a plan in place for D+1, D+2, D+3, and so on. And it also lays in train protocols for how politics and the rest of the country works.
Mhm.
So major sporting events, entertainment events have to be cancelled. Parliament is sitting for 2 days just for tributes to the Queen, which will end tomorrow. After that, they won't be sitting for 10 days until after the official period of mourning and the state funeral.
Okay, all right. Nigel Nelson, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. Do appreciate talking to you. Thank you.